Okay. All right. This is gonna be a demonstration for starting on your 5 thumbnail sketches for your propaganda posters. So this will be for like date your days 3 and 4. So basically, for this assignment, though, you're gonna be doing small drawings for your propaganda posters. So I'm gonna have you guys complete at least 5 thumbnail sketches. So just make sure they're a vertical format. So we're gonna do it, kind of. Like it's gonna be taller up and down. So we did like horizontal for your EA landscapes. We'll do vertical for this. In most cases, posters are vertical format. Um, so when you do your drawings, though, you can focus on one topic or one movement, or if you want you do both topics movements, it's up to you. So you can either focus on one, or you can do both of them. I'm just going to focus on just one for my 5 drawings, but yeah, you can do either or. So it'll be 4 drawings per or 4 points per thumbnail sketch. So it'd be a total of 20 points. Okay, so just the things to consider though with your thumbnail sketches. Though again, just think about your overall composite design. So again, don't worry about detail yet. Each sketch should illustrate a topic or movement. So again, it should focus back on your topic or movements that you guys did a mind map on. And drawing should have or should be persuasive approach, something that you believe in. And in addition to the image, though, you want to think about words or text that can go with the artwork to help again promote or persuade your idea or cause. Okay, so definitely take a look at your mind map as you're working along. So I'm gonna have this like on the side while I show you guys how to work on your thumbnail sketches. Okay, so all right, so you're gonna grab or you're gonna get a sheet of paper, and you're just gonna do 5 small rectangles. Okay, so you can make them a little bit bigger than your thumb. I wouldn't make it like as big as a thumb because you guys won't have enough room. Okay, and again, have your mind map with you to help you with drawing your ideas. All right, so with my first idea though, I'm gonna zoom in a little closer so you guys can see. I kind of wanted to do one of my ideas that focused on, let's see, so I was gonna do like rights to organize. Again, my topic is basically work on workers' right and protection. So I kind of want to do it kind of based off of like a teacher's perspective. So, the I'm just gonna look at the ideas that I planned on drawing. So I wrote down unions, more teachers, more power, charter schools, public schools, protection, and then just helping others. So these words though are things that you guys wrote. It should help you to generate or start thinking about ideas for what you want to draw for your propaganda poster. Okay, so again, it doesn't hurt to go online, do some Google searches. So maybe I could kind of tie in some of these words. So teachers unions, I can think about like almost like teacher unity. So maybe I might want to look up some pictures that show up when I type into teacher unity or see what pops up there. So teacher unity. So a couple different images I could do. I could do like this idea of like hands kind of connecting together in a way. So unity is kind of having people kind of come together. I see this picture of like a fist that's just like power to it. So this is a very symbolic image of like the hand and the fist to represent power. Okay, now you can kind of borrow some of these ideas or use them though, but just don't copy exactly what's on there. Like like this one with the hand and the pencil could be kind of interesting. So and then we segue to power as well. Like what if I just typed in power? See what happens if I type in power. See what pops up. So it's like this movie called Power or TV series. But I see like electricity. That could be really neat. And electricity and like a hand. So, you could be like really original or creative, like your ideas. So what if I like, I don't know, made like the teachers into like like superheroes maybe in the drawing? I always think about lightning and hands like Thor, with the hammer. So that could be really neat. So, okay, so now I got some ideas in my head of like things I might want to do. So thumbnail sketches, those you can't really go wrong with it. We're just testing out composition ideas. So maybe I might want to, I don't know, have like some rocks over here, And on the very top of the rock or the mountain, maybe there could be like a teacher. Again, this is really small thumbnail sketches. Okay, maybe he could be holding his hand up into the air. I don't know. Maybe he might have like a hammer in his hand, but and then maybe there could be like lightning coming toward like that hammer, so kind of generate like that power. So I'd be kind of neat to make him into like a superhero. I'm not gonna make him kind of like with a cape, have like a helmet like Thor or something. So he could be like one of the like and basically make him look like a teacher in a way too. But then I could have like even other people in the background too with their hands up, representing power. So it could just be a bunch of people with just like their hands up, with like their fists in the air like this. So you know to kind of represent teacher unity. Okay, so again, take your time with like the drawing and the sketches. I'm just really doing this quickly. I could maybe have this composition of like a bunch of teachers, just hands up in the air, and this could be like I guess like a dark sky or something. So okay, but that could be like one of my ideas, and then like I do want you to think about like words to incorporate in the drawing. So maybe I could say teacher unity creates power or something like that. So teacher unity creates power. So that could, maybe something I could use. I can always change it up later. Make say like teacher unity creates superheroes or something. I don't know. So that could be one of my ideas. So going back to the looking at this again. Maybe another I could do is I really like this idea of men and women having the same pay. So again, we're gonna go to your thumbnail sketches. If you want to look up the ideas too. So I might just type in fair wages or something. So I feel like with fair wages though, it has a lot to do with like balance or imbalances in a way. So obviously one idea I could do is just having things kind of be balanced in a way. We can incorporate money, and maybe people could be standing on money. That could be really neat. So some ideas could have like the inequality part. So just remember that you're trying to persuade your audience, like is this like terrible or do you agree with it? So I feel like with men and women equal pay, I want to kind of go in the direction of like showing like, oh, it's like not really fair that women don't get paid as much as men in certain fields or things. So okay, now obviously I can kind of play around with some of the same ideas, but still want to try to make it my own. So maybe one thing I could do is maybe I could have. And I'm doing a lot of these in silhouettes, so again, you don't really have to have a lot of detail in your work. So maybe I could have someone being really small here. This could be like like a woman. She has like some money in her hand. Can't really see it, but then like over here, it's like I'm playing around a little bit with perspective, but there's like these towers of money or towers of coins. So if I were to like kind of make these into coins, again, I'm seeing how this looks though, because this may look kind of weird or wonky. Maybe I could have like some really big person here. He's like, ah, haha, I got all this money to myself here. I can make him look really menacing and evil. So he's got like this big grin on his face. So this could represent like a male corporate person. Okay, so you gotta be playful, have fun with it. So that could be an idea that I could do. And then obviously I would make her kind of feel like bad, like she just not getting paid enough. So I could say for my message, uh, women deserve equal pay. So, you want to think about like a message that makes sense. It's clear, quick, and you could always like, change it up when you're working on it. Okay, but start to come up with some more ideas though with like your thumbnail sketches. Really do take your time with the drawings. Um, I do like one more example. So maybe I could do something with legal protection here. Protection from wrongfully accused, paid leave, what is right and wrong, lawyers, job security. So, I mean, you could look up some of these images though, but like, you kind of might have an idea of like what you might want to draw. So, I always think of like legal protection, like the worst case scenario is, I end up in jail because of something I did wrong. So, you know, I can write down person behind bars. So, I could think about like, how I could draw like a little composition of somebody going, behind bars. So, I don't think the face is that important, but maybe I could do like something like this where it's like hands that are holding the bars. And then they could be in like a teacher outfit, like a tie, they're just a professionally. So, it could look something like this though when you do your drawing. You have like these bars here. This is a little trickier to do with like a horizontal format, but maybe they could be like hands here. I guess another hand right here, and I definitely would take a look at that picture. So hands, okay, and if you can't get the sketch the way you want though, it's okay. This is just like a thumbnail sketch, so I was thinking about having them wear a tie, like a suit, making them look professional. So, yeah, I'm not really feeling this idea now that I look at it, but that's the whole point of the thumbnail sketches, though. Some ideas you might like, some ideas you might not. Um, okay, and then think about some text for this. I'm not gonna write anything though, but just real important though. Just 5 thumbnail sketches. All right. Do incorporate some words or like a sentence on like what's happening. Okay, and then we can always adjust the words and your drawings. When we find like the one idea that you want to really go with.